Tonight on Q2, closing doors.
Already an impoverished community will be devastated by what the Trump administration has done.
President Trump's budget could lead to cuts threatening the future of tribal colleges. Plus, policies behind pursuits.
Our primary goal, if we're engaged in a pursuit, we want to end that pursuit as quickly and safely as possible.
In light of an MHP chase turned fatal accident, we dive deeper into how those choices to pursue are made in a second's notice. The MTN 530 News starts right now.
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. President Trump's big federal budget bill is threatening funding cuts for tribal colleges. Leaders worry it could have a devastating effect on Montana, even forcing some to close their doors. Tonight, our Matt Carmack dives deeper into the proposal and why it has many worried here in the Treasure State.
Here at Little Bighorn College,
I used to teach 7-8 classes. Wow.
Administrators and educators spend the summer preparing for the upcoming school year.
It impacts us greatly.
But for professor and liberal arts department head Sharon Paragoy, this upcoming school year may look a little bit different.
We could provide the programs, but it would be bare bones.
Sharon, a former state legislator, tells me future federal budget cuts beginning in the 2026 fiscal year could impact Little Bighorn College, along with 36 other tribal colleges across the nation.
There's great impacts, and they are yet to be seen, but carried forward, it'll be devastating.
Last week, the Trump administration's signature policy package, informally known as the Big Beautiful Bill, was passed.
The motion is adopted.
A large part of the bill aims to alter federal spending, including money spent towards the Bureau of Indian Education. According to the Department of Interior's 2026 fiscal year budget brief, funding for BIE post-secondary programs is being reduced from $182 million to $22 million.
With what Trump is doing, particularly for us here on the Crow Indian Reservation, it's impacting the livelihood and the access to education for a number of Crow tribal members.
Here at Little Bighorn College, $4 million of its budget comes from the federal government. $3 million is from the TCU and $1 million is from other grants. That $1 million, however, runs out next year.
Already an impoverished community will be devastated by what the Trump administration has done.
According to Sharon, those federal cuts won't just impact Little Bighorn College. She says they could impact the entire town of Crow Agency. This is because students at LBHC aren't the only one using the library and health and wellness center. They're also being used by residents in Crow Agency.
People losing jobs, not only here in our community, but in Billings. So Billings will also has been impacted in many different ways.
The new federal fiscal year begins in October, 2 months after the school year begins. Sharon said until then, she's trying to remain optimistic.
The only thing is we can be hopeful. That's all
In Crow Agency, Matt Carmack, MTN News.
The bill also proposes major changes to the SNAP program, as well as potentially reducing or eliminating benefits for millions of Americans. The Montana Food Bank Network warns those cuts are going to increase pressure on food banks all across the state. With more on that, here's MTN's Jonathan Ambarian.
Leaders with Helena Food Share say the demand for their services has already been on the rise in recent years, and that's been part of the benefit of their new Community Food Resource Center, which opened last year.
In June, we had the largest daily shops that we've ever had, and I would say pretty steadily increasing the number of shoppers that we have daily in the market.
Jordan Everts is the executive director of Helena Food Share, and her organization isn't alone. Kira Condon with the Montana Food Bank Network says across the state, there's been an 11% increase this year in visits to food pantries. She says the rising cost of living is a major factor.
For the people that are already experiencing food insecurity, it's getting a lot worse. And then obviously some people who are maybe not experiencing food insecurity are now going to be experiencing it.
With the demand on food banks already on the rise, MFBN released a statement this week, warning that if a large number of Montanans lose SNAP food assistance, their partners likely won't be able to fill the gap.
For every meal a food bank or food pantry provides, SNAP provides 9. At MFBN and our network partners, we're already stretched very thin trying to fill the need that's there currently. We're not going to be able to fill this and people are going to go hungry.
The new federal law requires more people who get SNAP benefits to meet work requirements, including people ages 55 to 64 without dependent children, and people whose children are between the ages of 14 and 18. And eventually, it could require the state of Montana to take on a bigger share of the costs of SNAP. Right now, about 80,000 Montanans participate in SNAP. Condon says MFBN is estimating 12 to 30,000 of those could stand to lose some or all of those benefits. Everett says in the last year, Helena Food Share had 820 customers who also received SNAP. She said as changes come to the program, it will be a community effort to make sure needs are still being met.
We don't do the work that we do alone. It's really in partnership with other people in the community, and so we will continue to partner with those individuals and businesses and groups to help support our neighbors.
In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
We got close, but not quite. Record high temperatures for today. Billings, 99 degrees reported at the airport. The record was 100. Sheridan also at 99. Miles City 103, but still fell just a little shy of the record for the date at 104. But it was plenty hot, and now we've got thunderstorms that have started to develop. A few skim by the Billings area, Yellowstone County, some stronger storms. A little bit of rain, a whole bunch of wind, and that's going to be our concern as we get through the evening hours, as we'll continue to watch this southwesterly flow create these showers and thunderstorms, mainly wind producers now, but that's going to shift as we get later into the 7-day forecast. We'll talk about the rest of the details coming up.
A federal hearing is scheduled for tomorrow in Missoula for Christopher Martinez, a Mexican citizen and Helena resident who was arrested last week by federal immigration authorities. Martinez was arrested July 1st after being pulled over for having an expired vehicle registration. At the time of his arrest, Helena police were coordinating with U.S. Marshals, Homeland Security investigations, and U.S. Border Patrol searching for a different person. His lawyers argue Martinez's detainment is unconstitutional and claim he was prevented from initially speaking with them. In a court filing, the U.S. government says that Martinez had previously been arrested multiple times for entering the country unlawfully and is under a 10-year ban from entering the United States. He's currently being held in the Cascade County Jail. Tonight, the Montana Highway Patrol is diving deeper into its policies when it comes to pursuits. This comes after a chase turned into a head-on collision Sunday afternoon, killing the suspect and leaving the trooper and a semi-truck driver injured. In that case, the MHP says the pursuit was initiated after a speeding violation. But is that typical? Our Hannah Pettiferi has that answer and finds out how policies often differ around the nation.
Obviously, the violator is the one that makes a decision to initiate the pursuit by not complying to our lawful order to stop.
Montana Highway Patrol stops 70 to 80,000 cars per year.
We have less than or right around 100 pursuits a year.
And the factors whether to engage in a pursuit.
Weather, location, seriousness of the violation, identity of the suspect, if it's known or unknown, the potential to identify that suspect later. All those circumstances go into whether or not we continue in that pursuit.
Law enforcement oftentimes continue to pursue due to a threat to the public.
We know that these people are wanted and they're homicide suspects, and they pose a threat to the public.
The trooper having the discretion to do that.
Our primary goal, if we're engaged in a pursuit, we want to end that pursuit as quickly and safely as possible.
Being a pivotal decision.
That decision to pursue is among the most critical decisions a trooper may make.
And made quickly.
There's lots of unknown circumstances and risk involved, so they're evaluating that situation very quick.
Safety being a top priority.
The end goal is the same, and that's to catch the violator quickly and safely and protection of life and property.
Police pursuits have shaped the way policies are written. Agencies across the state and country will have a slightly different policy.
Each state, each agency has their own policies. That's up to them.
One example would be Billings PD. Lieutenant Sam Puckett says their department reviews its policies annually, and those policies can be changed or updated throughout the year. MHP doing something similar.
Like any policy, we review our policies all the time for accuracy to make sure that we are doing the best according to standards and training practices and also legal standards.
The end goal is the same for all agencies.
We're all one big team just because it's a police agency or county sheriff's department.
In Billings, Hannah Pettiferry, MTN News.